G'day everybody, thanks for stopping by. Today's video is going to be looking at the VIOFO T130 triple channel dash cam. Now this was sent out to me for the purpose of review. Now what they didn't know when they reached out to me and asked me to have a look at this was the fact that I was already running one in the Pajero. Now any footage you've seen from me previously on four-wheel drive trips from in-car has been on that other unit. Alright, keep going buddy. The other unit is a 4K unit though, just for a front facing camera, and I've been really happy with that. This is only a 2K or 1440p front facing camera, a 1080 inside camera, so the interior car camera is 1080 and the rear is 1080. So combine all of those together, you've actually got a 4K feed, I guess, or 4K with information being stored on your memory card. I'll give you a quick look at the camera. I'll have a quick look and show you what comes in the box. There's a number of real nifty features on this, and one of those is the fact that it's got an in-car camera. So you've got your normal front-facing camera, you've got your in-car camera, and then you've got the one at the back as well. The one inside I think is going to be handy for people that are looking to do some YouTubing, some vlogging, etc. It's not without its challenges, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in the video. We'll also have a look at some of the footage, obviously. We'll look at some day footage, we'll look at some night footage. We'll look at a mistake that I made in setting it up. Then we're going to look at it from a YouTube creator's perspective. So what I've done, I've gone out for a four-wheel drive, and I'll show you something interesting. Rather than just drive along normal roads.
What's in the box?
You get the camera itself, the front-facing camera, which has the attached in-car camera. You get the rear camera. You get a 6-meter length of USB-C to USB-C cable that connects the front camera to the rear camera. You get the mounting block itself, which has the GPS unit in it. You also get a little plastic trim remover, which is super handy for running that cable from the front camera to the back camera. And if you have a look at this nice little addition here, you get a little USB micro SD card reader as well. So that's a nice little addition. And a few backup sticky pads for sticking the cameras onto the windscreen. There's plenty of adjustment in the main camera from the body itself. Once you've stuck it to the windscreen, you can see that this right side of the camera actually rotates, in addition to the main lens on the front camera rotating as well, so you've got heaps of adjustment there. The in-car camera will go left to right, almost a little bit more than 90 degrees. It can also be adjusted up and down as well, not quite 90 degrees. So it gives you plenty of opportunity to get it pointing where you want to inside the cab. It does have a really wide view though, so if you've just got it facing straight forward into the car, you're going to get the passenger and the driver as well. Did not see that hole coming, so I think you'll see. That might be a real payoff for the interior camera. Hopefully you would have seen my face. And the poor old dog probably getting thrown around from that one. I didn't realise that hole was there in the bottom of that water. Why you'd need to adjust it off to the side, I'm not really sure. Now one thing I initially found was I wasn't overly impressed with the view of the camera out the front. See here, what I've actually done when I've mounted it as high as I could up behind the rear view mirror. The problem I had there, and I didn't realise, was I've got a slight tint that goes across that. It's like a greyish bluish tint that goes across the top of the windscreen. Because I'd set the camera so high, it was actually shooting through that tint, and that was impacting on the quality of the footage. So what I've done now, I've moved it down, still using the same sticky pad, so I need to replace that because it's not as stable. I've moved that down now, and I'm getting lots better footage out of the front. So that was my mistake for putting that up so high. We're running the camera upside down because I'm in Australia. What that does is that puts the in-car camera on my side. So we have to flip it up, keeping in mind this is probably made for US market or left-hand drive cars. If you're in a left-hand drive car, that's fine. That interior camera is going to be facing you on the left-hand side or the driver's side. But because we're in Australia and we drive on the right-hand side, if I was to set it up normally, that interior camera would be on the left-hand side of the actual unit itself. Had I known how wide the angle of that interior camera was, I could have just set it up in its normal position with that on the left-hand side, and that would have captured both seats, wouldn't have been a problem. But I've actually flipped it upside down to have that interior camera on the driver's side or on my side. What are you eating there? and some grass. The one challenge I have with the interior camera is the colouring. Now the interior camera does pick up infrared light, which means it will work in a dark environment. So because you're inside the car, you don't have your car lights, all that sort of stuff, at night time it will come on automatically and switch on the interior IR light or the infrared light, and you'll see here it does really good job, and you'll see here it does a really good job of lighting up the interior of the car. So it does actually a pretty reasonable job of getting a look at the interior, but we'll put that in.
Auto infrared lights enabled.
Actually, I want that on auto. So.
Infrared lights enabled. Infrared lights disabled. Auto infrared lights enabled.
That's what we want. Alright. So I'm just curious as we get street lights whether that infrared's going to shut off, but it's not. Unfortunately, during the daytime it does mean that things, particularly things that are green like trees and stuff, will have a little bit of a purple tint. I have changed the settings in relation to the IR. There is an IR colour and then there is an IR light in the settings. Regardless of what I change, that doesn't seem to make any difference to the tint. There is an app that you use here for this camera, which is awesome. I've been running the app on the Android head unit that I've got in the car, so that's been awesome. I've been able to connect that up and adjust my settings and play around with it. Not while I'm driving, of course. Now, because I flipped that camera upside down and back to front, you can go into the application and change the settings on the cameras individually. So each of your cameras, your front, your interior and your rear, all have their own individual settings. So you can adjust the exposure, you can adjust which way the camera is, up or down, so you can flip the image up or down, and you can flip it from left or right. So if you've got to turn the camera upside down for mounting purposes, like I've done, you can just go into the application, flip the image upside down and then left to right, and your image will appear in the normal position. All of your individual cameras are recorded on the one SD card in the main unit, but they are all recorded as separate files. So you'll have a front camera file, a rear camera file and an interior camera file. The files are all identified by an F, an R or an I on the file name itself, so they're easy to identify. And when I'm driving with the camera on, I can connect to the Wi-Fi and be viewing the images on the Android head unit real time. There is a little bit of a delay, and I would say it's anything up to about 2-second delay from what the camera actually sees to what I see on the head unit. That's no biggie. Chances are you're not going to be driving around and just watching what the cameras are shooting anyway. This is just something I've been doing for the purpose of the testing, but it just has to be noted. The other thing that must be noted is I'm finding that both in the image on the screen and in the recorded image, the cars around me have to be pretty close before I can identify their number plates. Not going to be an issue obviously if somebody rear ends you or something along those lines, because they're going to be pretty bloody close. But for cars just driving by and things like that, I am a little bit disappointed in the quality of the camera and its ability to identify those number plates as they drive by, because obviously that's the most important thing, or the most important job of a dash camera, is to be able to identify the car obviously and show the footage of what happened. But in case of a hit and run or something along those lines, somebody takes off or something occurs off to the side and behind you or in front of you, you want to be able to grab the number plate of those cars. And I'll put up some footage here and you can have a look and see just how close the cars actually need to get before you can actually see what the number plate is and then read the numbers and the letters on it. I'm not sure what that comes down to, because I didn't used to have that issue with the old camera, well, certainly not that I noticed. Just driving around today, I'd have it on 2K, but I'd have it set at 60 frames a second. This one will only do the 1440p or the 2K up front, but it'll only do 30 frames a second. All of your cameras are limited to 30 frames a second. I'm hoping that might change with the firmware update in the future, because it would be nice to be able to see that additional frame rate, and I think that might help with, you know, objects moving past you, number plates, etc. Now with the other 4K unit that I had in the car, it had a nice little screen. It was only about 1.3 inches or something along those lines. This does not have a screen on it. What you do is you use the application on, whether it be your phone, your tablet or your car head unit in this case, and all of your settings can be made through that application. The application on the application on the Google Play Store has a rating of around about 2.2. But I've got to tell you, I haven't had any issues with the application at all. It's been solid, it's done everything I've asked of it. I'm just going to show you some of the footage here when I've got it from a forward drive. Let me know what you think, whether you're happy with the quality of the footage, front and back, and of course in the car. Now, any audio you hear from inside the car, whether it's front facing, rear facing, or the interior camera, is going to be taken from the unit itself. So I wanted to see what the quality of that was going to be like, and then you can let me know whether, if I go forward driving and I've got this thing set up, whether you're going to be happy with that level of audio, or whether I still need to throw up a GoPro or something in the car. But realistically, I think I can get away with it, and then other YouTubers might be able to have a look at this as well, if this is something that they want to do. I really, really like that interior camera. Did not.
Video protected.
Now the other thing is, I didn't bring any recovery gear. It is quite wet out here. It's been raining it's been pissing down for a few days. So we are going to go down here, and it's going to be slippery as shit. And we might end up having to get the winch out. So let's find out. That was bigger than I expected it to be. Now, to be honest, I'm not sure if we've been a bit silly going down here in this weather, because it is a real good clay base. I mean, just on my own, there's no real danger. The question is getting back out. Oh shit, what's going on here? This is washed away. That didn't used to be like that at all. We'll see what it's going to require to get up there. So I'm just sticking on the diff lock and our Vlad's traction control mod. Oh, absolutely walked up there. I expected to get some tyre slippage and stuff there, but the Alpha Giro. Let's see how we go here, eh? This is always really slippery. Point in case. Hold on, bud. So that's positive that we got up there. Quite a little bit more effort than I expected it to. Quite a lot of slippage. You can see quite a lot of mud. I'm struggling to walk up here, in fact. Quite a lot of mud, just rock. So it's a very slippery scenario. And this is going to be a little bit similar getting up here, but it's not going to challenge a Pajero too much. See if we can get a bit of momentum and get her up there. Right, holding on. Here we go, bit of right foot. We're almost up there, but I think those rock steps are paying for themselves. So there you go, so we got up. So we had to get up this one here. So you can see there's a bit of a step in that there. So we did that. And then it was this one that sucked us in. We could have tried to stay up high, but it was just going to pull us in like it did when we come down. So we decided to take it on straight up. And I'm pretty happy that we got out. You can see just there where we've made contact with the side steps, but yet again the old bushkin side steps have paid for themselves. When I first hit it I thought it might have been panel. I'm glad it wasn't. Let's talk about pros and cons just to wrap this up. Really love that it's got the 3 cameras. Love the fact that they throw in a couple of little extras like the little SD card reader, the trim removal tool, so both of those were nice additions. Shows they're not cutting corners and it gives you a bit more confidence in the product itself. Love the adjustability of the interior camera, left to right, up and down, as well as the adjustability of the front camera. Obviously the rear camera has its own adjustability, but there's not much to that. But the adjustability from the front cameras is excellent. The application has been really solid for me. Been able to change all the settings, been able to bring it up real view, see what I'm actually looking at, especially from the setting up of the camera, being able to have it on the dash or on your phone or something along those lines while you're setting it up, just to make sure you get it in the exact place you want, is perfect. Beyond that, I don't know whether the application is going to be super useful. It's kind of a set and forget type thing. The audible announcements, the voice announcements, they are excellent. I was concerned about not having a screen, but with the voice announcements, they pretty much tell you everything that's going on with the camera. If there's a problem, I didn't have an SD card the other day, told me there was no SD card. all that sort of stuff. So pretty much anything you do or you interact with the camera, it's going to tell you what's going on. It's going to be very rare that you'll need to open that application and have a look and try and find out what's going on. So that was really good as well. Those buttons on the front are all multi-function, and they cover all of your basic features, anything that you're going to need to do. Anything over and above that, just go and do it on the application. So the camera itself does have a GPS in the mount. So when you're viewing your files back through the application, what you can actually do is watch the file and it will show your GPS location on a map, and as the car is moving and the GPS coordinates change, you'll actually show the car progress. So that's a real handy feature. You can download your files from the SD card over the Wi-Fi connection to your device. Alright, so let's talk about the negatives. There's only really a couple of little things. The main one that has to be said though, again, is the quality of the image. Ultimately, at the end of the day, all you need a dash cam to do is give you a quality image. I don't think it's a deal breaker because I think the image quality is fine, but I was just surprised how close those cars needed to get for me to actually identify that number plate. The purple tint that's on the infrared camera, I guess, inside the car, bothers me a little bit. Again, I wanted to look at using this for YouTube creation, and depending on what colour shirt I've got on or something like that, it might make me look a little bit purple. It's no biggie because you get that functionality of the night camera, so I guess that's a compromise. The thing that's probably could be listed as a con, but it also has to be listed as a massive feature, is the fact that it's 3-channel. It's wide and that you need to run that wire to your rear camera, so it provides its own challenges. Say you got this though and you went, I can't be bothered routing that cable around to the back camera, just don't plug it in and this will quite happily operate as a 2-channel dash cam. You'll still have your interior and you'll still have your one at the front there as well. That's the VIOFO T130, so keep your eye out for these ones. If I can get a price for this, I'll put it up on the screen there. It'll be down in the description. I'll obviously have a link where you can find these down in the description as well. At this point, I'm not entirely sure. I'm guessing you'll find this on Amazon, eBay, all that sort of stuff. I'm not sure whether they've got a direct store. I'm not sure what the price point is at this stage, to be honest. I haven't looked, but I would expect it to be very reasonable based on the fact that the previous one that I got, the 4K unit, I think cost me about $100, might have been $90 odd, and it was very, very reasonably priced at the time for a 4K camera with a screen. So I don't expect these to be any different. I think these will be very reasonably priced, but at this stage I'm not even going to have a pun on it. I'll put it up on the screen. If you've got any questions, fire them through, let me know. If you've got any questions that you want me to shoot through to VIOFO, through my contact Disney, do that and I'm happy to pass things through. So that's it, that's the VIOFO T130 3-channel dash cam. So at this stage, yeah, pretty impressed, and it's going to be staying in the Pajero. The other one's going to come out and go in the Commodore, and I'm looking forward to taking a trip or two with this one, and just seeing what I can do with the footage from it as far as creating content. Anyway, thanks very much for stopping by, guys. Cheers, we'll catch you on the next one, eh?